want to go. It's too funny. Ooh. Hello. Vinny, double check your audio levels because you are coming in and out. Yeah, I literally heard you go, hello, and then you cut out. I can hear myself fine. And this is why I always monitor stream in the first 5 minutes of actually being live. Didn't you get a new microphone recently? Like, I hear you on this call just fine. I don't hear you on Twitch, is what I'm saying. You changed the source, didn't you?
The source is back. Ha ha ha. We did it,
There it is.
guys.
We got here. We did it eventually.
Something. Always
The
a
audio,
technical difficulty. All
at
right.
least one god is on our side-ish.
Yeah. As we were saying, welcome, Wanderers, to Records of the Realms. You should know our faces by now, hopefully. We are here to play Godkiller, a new TTRPG. It's a holy punk TTRPG that came out, I think the first Blood edition, aka like the pre-review edition, came out last year, and we were getting an official, and I think also a book release this year.
Either this year or next year, I'm blinking.
Yeah. We don't have that information on hand. Please go look at the stuff up, though.
Yeah.
It's been awesome. It's been a fun read for both of us. We are here, longtime player, longtime TM. We have gone through many a story together, many a character, many a pissed off situations together. So we decided to take it out on each other in the best way possible, 1v1. Except I'm still playing multiple characters, and they're all getting their asses whipped, probably. And Mel's still being dramatic. It's gonna be great.
What else is new?
But yeah, we're gonna do a little bit of our normal spiel, and then we're gonna hop into the game with some wonderful descriptions, including some stuff straight from the book itself, just to give you guys an idea of the mindset and the area we're gonna be in. But like a quick overview of Godkiller is a 2d6 system. It is based on literally one character, the Godkiller. It's a 2-player system or a 1-player NDM system. So literally the Godkiller goes around and moitas a bunch of gods. So Mel will be playing the Godkiller. I will be playing all the gods that get murdered. They will put up a fight, and there are options where Mel's character can be in precarious and awful situations. That does exist. There are threats. They are real. So as anime main character as this may be, there's still potential pitfalls. It's as I said before, it's a holy punk war world where you'll find out in the description, but I want to at least give you a small taste of what the basics is. We are actively playing this game for the first time here, so excuse the hiccups. We're doing our best.
We've been workshopping for a few days.
Yeah, we've been workshopping. We're having fun with it. We've got some creative juices flowing, but we'll see what happens. This crown also might come off if it keeps pressing on certain parts of my skull, but we'll wait and see how long that lasts. But to give a quick intro between us, I am Vinny. You can find me at vander.vision for cosplay photography and videography, and obviously part of Records of the Realms, making TTRPG stuff from streams to fingers crossed podcasts and books.
And I am Mel, longtime member of Records of the Realms, resident merch fairy, pronouns she, her, they, them. You can find me on most socials as Melowette, and you can also catch me on the Storyteller Squad as the world's biggest bitch, Ariel Valentine, or world's sweetest witch, Amity Steinbrook. How's it going? And
Thanks,
tonight I will be
Sarah.
playing Thorn, who also happens to be a witch. Um, yeah.
A witch bitch. No, we don't know
Well,
yet.
her gender is witch. The gender options in Godkiller
For
were
this
so
system, we're
fun.
great.
They were so great. They were so good.
It's such a good way to
I
do
was
it
like,
too.
yes. Fuck
uh,
male and female and non-binary. I'm a witch, motherfucker.
there, it was literally just pronoun. I mean, it's the fun twist on taking people who are like my pronouns are washing machine, but taking it to like the actual fun extremes of that. But yes, so we are. If you have time or money or links or sharing that you are willing to do for the PCRF, we are raising money this month. All of these one shots are brought to you by us raising money for our charity of choice this month, which is the PCRF. They do amazing work, and every single dollar, every single cent counts and helps. Added bonuses happen if you guys donate, which could be really helpful in this situation because there's not a lot of people to help pass or fail if bad rolls start coming Mel's way, including advantages for them and disadvantages for me. I don't think I really roll, so I'd probably just turn those into advantages for you anyways in this scenario, and then there's also criticals. If you are willing to share or donate to the PCRF, we super duper appreciate it. It's near and dear to a lot of us to try to help out with that the best we can.
Oh, hey, we're at 385. Nice.
Yeah, we got $115 to go before I run a 12-hour one shot.
Oh, God.
Which feels right for me.
Feels like we should also make that into like a fundraising event, but we'll talk about that afterwards.
That's probably
we'll figure that out.
Yeah, no, 100%. Probably gonna be the best way you guys survive that. Anyways, so we are going to pop into in media res, as the cool kids say, after I do a brief description, and also we probably get some details from Mel. This is a very cinematic system. We're going to be describing and acting a lot more than we are going to be rolling. We'll get some rolls in because we love rolling. Who doesn't like playing with the click-clacks? But it is for very specific situations, very narrowed down. Most of the time, our narrating back and forth can decipher most of what's going to happen without actually needing to fall to rolls. But we like to roll, so we'll probably pop into that too. I have no air conditioning on right now, so I'm drinking all my water now.
Please hydrate, for the love of God.
We have a hydrate button down there. Please quit. Boo.
I'm so sorry.
Mel thinks she's funny, so that's fine.
I am funny. I am funny.
Objectively,
thank you very much.
Mel is funny. All right.
My spouse says I'm funny. No, he doesn't.
Did you have anything else you wanted to cover before I start just yammering for a bit?
No. Go ahead.
We are going to pop into what is the opening epitaph of Godkiller. Basically, you can imagine this as almost like a parent reading it to a child, not reading it to a child, but like explaining a child why the world is this way. So, once upon a time, child, the gods descended from the river in the sky and taught us how to worship. They taught us how to speak and build homes and cook food and fall in love. They taught us what to do and what not to do, how to think and how not to think. They taught us how to pray, how to obey, how to devote. And finally, after we had proven our faith, the gods taught us magic. Once upon a time, the gods loved us. Then the river dried up, and the gods were stranded here, and their magic was running out. The name of the first god who died is lost to the ravages of time, but we do know one thing. The other gods witnessed it, and they learned. They learned that killing brought power and magic and pleasure, and soon another god was slain, then another, and another. The corpses of fallen deities now litter the land, serving as monuments to the viciousness of divinity, the utter cruelty of desperation. The devouring, as we now call it, was an age of fear and blood, and it persists to this day. So that is a brief description of some of the stuff that has formed and shaped this world. We are going to go from this worldwide view, this child getting a book read to them, stopping to read the book, explaining why the world is the way it is. We're going to zoom out into the world as a whole. We're going to zoom out to part of the Cradle, which is the landscape, the area, the continent, the lands that Thorn and everyone else and everything else currently inhabits. Um, and we are going to do another brief descriptor before we pop into a very particular spot where a very particular thing is going on right now. Um, in the heart of the Cradle, in the assumed heart of the Cradle, where the heavens seem to kiss the earth, lies a landscape of awe-inspiring beauty and primal grandeur. Rolling hills carpeted in emerald green spread out beneath the mountains, their slopes dotted with clusters of ancient oak and towering redwoods. Here and there, towns and villages emerge like pearls strung along a necklace, their chimneys sending tendrils of smoke curling into the sky to the river above. To what we believe to be the west, a vast expanse of shimmering blue stretches as far as the eye can see, known as the Sea of Magic Hour. Into the south, a desert of shifting sands stretches like a golden ocean called the Nestled Desert. To the north holds frigid tundras and Arctic lands, simply called the Frost. And to the east, the Ridge of Creation, a mountain range too grand for an individual to pass, or to peer past, thanks to the plumes of smoke that rise from the foundries on the highest peaks. Each rise in elevation leaves a new, unique home for the mortals and the fauna present to create. These were all made and forged by the Forge Master to please their followers, fans, and clients. We now move to the Aetherhold. Perched high in the mountains, the Aetherhold is a fortress city built into the very rock itself. Its towering walls are adorned with intricate carvings that depict struggles of gods and mortals alike. The city is known for its artisans who craft weapons and armor, specifically under the blessing of the Forge Master. In here, very few sounds actually escape the foundry city. All that can be heard is metal on metal, fighting on fighting, grunts, shouts, from one of the highest rooms, sort of a private chamber, a chamber to think, to whittle away, but also litters corners and walls with creations, mostly metallic. In here, we find the Forge Master, and we find Thorn. Mel, do you want to give a description of Thorn?
Ooh,
How she's
okay.
feeling, what she's doing in this moment?
Thorn is a flurry of rage and desperation as she strikes, parries, lunges at the Forge Master. Um, she is, I want to say, probably like a woman in her mid 30s. Human, freckles splattered across her face. And there's some sunspots from all the times that she has spent out in the daylight. Um, this individual, she has sort of um, what would have once been like glorious golden hair has uh, sort of become like a withered ashy blonde. Um, and it's also streaked with gray. Um, she wears relatively simple clothing, simple tunic, sandals that sort of strap up to the knee, kind of like old style, like gladiator sandals. Um, and looking at the build of this person, while they aren't unfit, they don't have the athleticism of a warrior, and yet they stand there with a sword in two hands, um, and dark brown eyes filled with fury.
That sounds great. Now, this is the thing we did not finish clarifying beforehand because
Oh
we were
no,
trying to get
we did
everything
not.
started. But we wanted to say that at least once before you gained a power.
Yes.
Would we be interested in saying that the Lunar Enchantress may be the person who gave you that power beforehand?
That would be interesting because that means I either tried to kill or I spared her.
But you could have spared her.
Yeah, I mean I could have spared her. But I just think that's spicy. So yeah, sure. We'll say I got my power from the Lunar Enchantress. I'm gonna say that I spared her.
Cool.
Which means if you want, you can also potentially bestow a curse on me if you want to. That's up to you. Um,
Considering what we already have information wise related to your relationship
mhm.
with her, I think I'm okay with saying that with the grief, that maybe you guys ended more amicably than your most endings that you have with other people.
Fair enough. I'm down for that.
um,
Uh, but yeah, so what semblance of their power do I receive?
so the powers of the Lunar Enchantress are moon and dreams.
Oh,
So
okay.
there is a valley, a great valley of potential in those two words that we could find something specific if you'd like. Uh, Simple as shimmering, simple as beams. There's a whole variety depending on how simple and how complex we want to go in this situation. You could also choose just the word moon or dreams itself in that situation.
I think let's go with dreams. I feel like to me that sort of implies like potentially sleep magic or like sort of quote unquote like dream walking
Mm-hmm.
or manipulating in dreams. So let's go with that.
The whole breadth of the world opens up when you have the power of dreams. As you have, as you are looking angry, uh, or uh, forget your exact description, but as you are
Furious.
furious, I guess is the better word. Um, you see before you a monument of if it wasn't moving you'd assume it's just a suit of armor that is made for a colossus.
Hmm.
It is a large individual. Most of the body cannot be seen, but from what little gaps that are exist you see a shimmer of the skin like it's made of metal itself. And It being covered in this perfected, even as you've landed blows and hits, even as you assume this creature has seen battle before, this god has seen battle from other, nothing is imperfected, nothing is dented or chipped. Everything remains pristine on its body. And Beyond just the simple armor or the very detailed ornate armor that exists, a pad, almost a tome, and a quill float around next to it, uh, continuously, almost like taking notes as you guys talk and have conversation and fight and everything else that is going on in this like little private abode of a laboratory where there are small streams of magma and lava that flow along. You see beautiful creations on all sides, and then in the corner down like cinematically there's no light on this corner of the room, and purposefully there is a reason, because it is just a pit of imperfect failed creations that are
Mm.
shoved into a bin into a corner, that is like almost kind of like in houses where you have a laundry chute. It's almost like it is a filled to the brim chute that is supposed to like drop down these metallic creations and restart them, but right now it just seems to remain clogged from so many failed experiments. And a voice sighs. Well, this has been a very interesting experience so far. I'm glad we could categorize some new things with you, but I recommend you leave.
Would you say he is mocking my pain? Is
I
he
would say
saying
that
this has been
opening sentence
fun?
for sure is a little bit mocking in a way.
I felt a little mocking. Let me check something really quick when you. Uh,
Whole new system, guys.
single single brilliant feat. And then my divinity becomes dormant. Okay. So he gives that sort of dismissive uh line, and I think Thorn scowls. And I'm going to say it triggers her divinity. Or rather, oh no, wait, I have to turn to violence first. Pardon me. I read the end half of it. I did not read the first half of it. Um, which I mean, we're kind of in the middle of it.
Yeah,
So I'm going to first inflict violence and
sure.
then say that I have triggered my divinity.
Hell yeah.
But for inflict violence, I do have to roll 2d6. I'm gonna add an additional one because to her, it's personal. It feels incredibly personal.
Mm-hmm. Um,
Oh no, wait, it's add one, not like as if to give like +1 forward, not add a die.
yep,
Hold on.
you can add up to 3 points depending on how many relate to it. So,
Yep. I'm
um,
just gonna add the +1.
yep, um, yeah, that fits.
All right. Let's see. That's 8 on the die. +1 is a 9. So on a 7 to 9, this part of the fight ends on your terms. Um, and so I think what that translates to is because to feed into triggering my divinity, um, she leaps up through the air to strike at him with the pommel of her sword, like the chin of you said he was wearing a helmet, or am I
Yeah,
mistaken?
he's helmed. Like
Yeah.
most of their body's covered.
Yeah, to strike at the chin of the helm, almost as if to try to knock it off of his head. And then when that happens, this swirl of ashen vines, they look like they could crumble apart at any minute. And it's reminiscent of like cracked what is it, birchwood, that white tree that kind
Yeah,
of like
birch.
it's like the bark starts to like splinter and shed over time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or like burnt firewood,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. Um, these vines erupt out of the ground and start grasping at uh can I say the Forge Master? Is
Yeah,
that acceptable?
Forge
Okay.
Master is fine.
Starts grasping at the Forge Master, one to the right wrist, one to the left wrist, one around the neck, pulling extra tight, and just yanking him down into the earth. She goes, I'm not finished yet.
One thing to remind you is that you cannot destroy a god without two things: knowing its heart and knowing its downfall.
Mm-hmm.
So mid this battle, as you continue talking, the Forge Master, with the power of building, has been making constructs to get in your way, throwing up a wall, making it turn into a slide, so you have to go back another 100 feet in this room. Which to
Mm-hmm.
you, it feels like a lot. To him, it feels like 3 steps. That is the size difference that in this moment we are at least
Yeah.
working with. And as you restrain them by every limb, and they do buckle to the ground because you still have power and in a dominion that doesn't quite work on his. Uh, he has a hard time specifically forcing himself to break free, but as you are restraining him down, he does tense and pull, and the head turns slightly over to the book and says Veritas. And as that happens, a remember Avatar: The Last Airbender, where Toph makes all the pillars come up in like an earthquake fashion in a slow tidal wave, basically a tidal wave of earth pillars.
Yes, I vaguely recall this.
You watch as the individual tiles that start like from one of your sides begins popping upwards and slowly starts pushing you or trying to push you away from them as they uh, aren't breaking fully free. You also aren't sure how much fight is currently going on, as this is probably the most curious thing that's happened to them in a while. And who wouldn't want to like take more insight and more notes in a situation like this?
Hmm. Um, I do want to try to figure out.
What are you expecting from me here? What do you think I'm going to give you? I love the mortals as much as a god can.
Um,
What are you trying to figure out, and what could we just fit in the narrative? We don't have to get too specific into the
so
things.
the two things that I have to figure out in order to, well, allegedly kill the god is base. It was, sorry, remind me again. It was expose his heart and expose
Its downfall.
its downfall.
So everything has like its kryptonite, its weakness,
Right.
like its thing that it is just uh, weak against no matter what.
Hmm.
And then the heart would be like that sensitive spot, that thing, that item, that idol that like if you struck it, that is the spot that would decimate, destroy, weaken, crumble a god.
Hmm. Um, I think. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up the reference just so that I can like look at it later.
No, that's fair.
Uh, uh, Still away pocket dimensions, your god's heart is their true form. His face is powerful. I have to make this gigantic because I did not bring my glasses to this.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about? Which one? Which one are you thinking about? What is Thorn concerned with in this moment?
I think I think heart first. Uh, she wants to reveal his so-called heart first. Um, and I think she pokes for it by saying, "If you love the humans, or rather, excuse me, if you claim to love humans so much, why do you give other gods such destructive weapons to kill us all?"
I need to fund all of the creations I make. We need to be able to build, and it's not just the resources of the land, it's the permissions, it's everything needs to be perfect when these things are made. It needs to be idyllic, it needs to be made for that individual, and to do that I need the resources and permissions of the other gods. I can't control every element of the world. um
Let's see. I want to double check one thing. Ooh, okay. Um, oh, I forgot to mention a side effect of unleashing my divinity, which is I was going to choose. It's obvious.
yeah,
Anyways,
it looks fucking cool, yeah.
yeah, it's obvious as fuck. Um, I think I would like to. It's not.
Subtly out the
I don't.
window.
I don't think this counts as manifesting a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this might venture into illusions, but who is to say that dreams aren't illusions? Uh, she pauses to look up at the creations that you said they were on display around the room,
A
correct?
lot of them were.
Um, where there's dreams, there is nightmares. She's going to create the dream for him that his creations, his perfect creations, are being destroyed one by one. Um, Lifts a hand, and again, like it's dream magic, so things are actually fine, but they look as though they have disintegrated and crumbled into dust. She like lifts a hand, and the sort of the dream is the manifestation of her divinity being this like ash and burnt wood type of texture, like turns into a swirling lance and just destroys one of his creations. And then she lashes out at another and another and another. Fuck your creations. Fuck your funding.
No, these would have been so beautiful. Um, as you begin doing this, you see no reaction from the face or anything behind the actual the
Mm-hmm.
helm.
Can I see a face behind the helm?
You can. There are eyes. They glow like coals. Um,
Freaky.
and again, it's like silvery skin. It's like it's made of, like it's like metal behind the metal. And as
Interesting.
it like looks around at these things you create, it like reaches out, and then that brings the hand back, and you hear a sobbing voice. But you don't see tears or mist or lava or magma coming. What you do notice is that the quill is leaking ink. You watch the quill just dripping, and like it gets a little quicker and quicker, and it like falls into the book. Um, and you watch the quill, like the feather, quiver and shake whenever there's like a sob.
Wild. I I think oh my goodness. Oh, I'm realizing I made a mistake. I should have rolled for will to power, but
That's
I'll
fine.
just remember to do that better next time.
Yeah.
Um, I think I guess this might count as inflicting violence. Um, she's going to like straight up throw her sword, like two-handed, just throw it at the quill and try to strike with the sword. Um,
What is
I
the
what is the whip?
what is the current sword that you have look like? What is like this weapon that I assume you have, right? You haven't taken anything from the Forge Master yet.
No, she's not taking anything from the Forge Master. It's from home. There was a statue um made entirely of metal. Some legendary hero uh and it was um there's like specifically the statue was made to hold the sword, and it was like a tale of a legendary hero who like protected her city. Um and it was supposed to be a monument to them. And I think after the disaster that took her home, she found it washed up on the shore and she took it. And there's it is a sword, but there was some detailing around it, like some not not inlay. That's not the word I'm looking for. There was an addition that was added to it from the statue. It was like a little wrapping of vines around the handguard. But it was just a basic long sword, kind of rusted in some places, but still a functioning sword.
Cool. As you strike, were you actively doing a thing? Were you doing inflict
I think this is
violence?
inflict
Yeah,
violence.
I'm good with that. Um,
Um, I'm not sure if I should add anything to this.
I
Mm,
I mean, I think it's personal counts
yeah,
for a lot of
I think
this,
it's
no matter
personal
what.
still continues.
I'm debating you're desperate because you just tossed your weapon, so like that's, uh,
I'll take it. If you want to give it to me,
yeah,
I'll
no.
take it.
Well, the they wish you harmed is that doesn't exist right now in
No,
this
does
current
not exist
situation.
here at all. No. Ooh, that's a 10 on the dice. Plus the 2 makes it a 12.
Oh, that's bad.
So that's an overkill.
So, a new thing you guys get to learn about this system. There's like a perfect middle ground versus other
Uh-huh.
things where it's like the higher you roll, the better it gets. There's fails, succeeds. Oh, you succeeded a little too hard.
A little too hard.
Uh,
Just a little much, bud.
and that would be a 10 plus, which in this case is you lose yourself in a righteous fury.
Yeah.
Um,
Which that feels correct.
I think this is
It feels
100%
very on
correct.
brand.
Um, I am going to, and debate me about this if
Hmm.
this feels bad. The cost of your divinity. I'm trying to think. So many notes opening. Siphoning is one part of it that I think you took as well.
That was something that I had started with. Yeah, the description I have is rotting, grasping vines, swirling ash, chokes the life out of everything around her.
Cool. Um, this is not necessarily a thing that you notice as you are tossing this blade. This might be a thing
Mhm.
that you realize after the fact when you look around the room and see that trash heap of imperfect and flawed things is the farthest thing away from their desk where they work.
Mhm.
The sight alone, and that's another reason why it's so darkened, the sight of imperfection, of flawed things, of not 100% pristine items hurts the Forge Master. That is the Forge Master's downfall.
Ooh, okay, okay.
Imperfection itself is its
talk about a
downfall.
former talk about a former gifted kid dealing with some bad burnout.
Yeah,
Damn.
he's got some shit going on. So as you throw your blade, you overly succeed. So in this situation, I'm
This is
going
funny.
to say that as you, oh God, it's very. Did you ever read Page Master or watch Page
No, I did
Master?
not. No, I did not.
Okay.
Sorry.
As the blade cuts into the quill, it's you said you're throwing out the quill, right? Sorry,
Yes, at the
me
quill.
double checking my brain.
The weeping quill.
Yeah, you watch as it splits in half, almost in like literally a hot knife through butter. Like nothing else you've done has caused a dent or a chink in armor. This splits it so completely that you aren't sure if it was in one piece at all to begin with. Um, as it splits and falls onto the book, and the hand holding it begins lowering slowly. You watch as the whole eyes die, and you watch as this giant construct drops. The book clatters, and the quill falls onto the ground,
Oh
still
fuck.
crying and weeping.
Okay. Yeah, because I have to
Yep,
I
nope.
have to I have to
Do some things, yeah.
find its heart and find their heart in their true form and then also exploit their downfall. So they're not dead yet.
Nope.
Right? Okay. Um
But you watch as it, trying to collect itself, begins using the tip of the quill to start drawing things on the ground, and you watch little creations of ink churn to stone and try to collect around it to build it back up into something, because the Forge Master body, the Forge Master construct, is now dead where it sits as the quill continues to try to vie for some life.
mhm. um I think she um I do believe at this point my divinity is no longer awakened.
Yeah, I think
That's a little
after you
unclear.
use it. Yep.
um She hops down from the main construct, walks over to uh towards the quill, and she's eyeing that dark corner of rejected projects, of failed projects. Um and I think she's going to she starts insulting him. Uh Everything you make, everything you've gifted to the other gods is an abomination, is disgusting. And I think she tries to summon the power from uh, the Lunar Enchantress again. And I'm getting very strange with dream magic here, but I think we start seeing little motes of light, um, of dreamy, soft light start to swirl, or kind of they start blinking in and out like fireflies around the rejected projects to shed light on all the wrong that he's done, or rather all the failures that he's had. You think just because you consider a project a success that makes it beautiful, that makes it perfect, when you don't consider whose hands you're putting it into, what kind of destruction they will reap with what you've decided to give them. I think this, and she points at the pile, illustrates who you are perfectly.
You see a form that is just like a little bit of stone surrounding this like base of a quill that gets lifted up, and it's like slowly like crawling towards the pile. And you're like, no, no, I, we can remake those. They can be better. They can be better. They can be useful. They can be just as idyllic as everything else here. I, I,
Nothing about this place is idyllic.
but it could be. Just gotta trust that we can do it. We it's gonna work. It's gonna work. You heard the voice try to get deeper as like the big mechanical machine starts to like glow with a little bit of light for a moment.
Trying to think of what to say back to that.
Mm-hmm.
She says, there is no perfecting what you've broken, what you've helped to destroy. There is no perfecting that. There is only repenting or death.
Are you giving a certain choice here? That sounded like you're giving parent choices. I don't know if that's a thing.
I think, no, I don't think she's quite giving a choice. I think, hmm,
What is she trying to see or hope for in this moment?
I think, you know what? This might be a feel someone or something out. Uh, roll. I think what she's trying to see is if they have any grasping of like what what she's saying. They seem very fixated on fixing things,
Mm-hmm.
but like fixing the object, not fixing the harm. Um, and I think that's what she's trying to get through to them is you were complicit in this harm, in this wrongdoing.
Gotcha.
You were a piece of that.
Gotcha. Um, so you have to answer one: what feels welcoming on the surface, or what feels dark or unnerving when I peer deeper, and then I answer the other.
Oh, so I have to oh well, here's the thing. I have to answer one of
Mm-hmm.
these. When you try to feel out a person, place, or thing, say what you want clarity about and answer one. The
Yep.
GM will then give you the clarity you seek as they answer the other.
Mm-hmm. So
Mm,
that's how they work. Is you feed one of them, and then I will feed you the other one.
interesting. Okay, okay, okay. What I guess maybe what feels welcoming on the surface. Um,
Which could be this like facade that like they seem so fixated on.
yeah. Well, no. So I think for me, I'm going to answer the question, what feels welcoming on the surface.
Yeah,
Um, I guess I have to answer it about my character, or it's not quite clear.
I'm pretty sure it is what feels welcoming on the surface. Either it can be like this interaction, this
Hmm.
god, this situation. Like what is
Okay. I think what feels welcoming on the surface to her is the opportunity to kill this god. Uh, it feels very close and within her reach. Um, that's the answer I'm going to give.
cool. What feels dark or unnerving when I peer deeper. Um, as it continues to crawl towards the junk pile, which like as it draws closer, it feels like almost like this thing is being set ablaze. You watch the quill start having little bits turn to fire and rip off, like it's hurting itself a little bit, just getting closer. To be like, no, no,
Mhm.
we can get these fixed. We can make it happen. We can make the whole world just like here, just like this whole area. And as they say that, in their workshop, there is just giant windows that have a look out to the world, which for the most part is very hard to see through because there is just smoke. But you know that no one ever can see over this mountain pass anyways, and no one ever
Mhm.
can see through the smoke that's in the sky. As you came up here from your town, um, went through other towns, went through forests or like beautiful landscapes, you probably couldn't realize what existed on the other side of this mountain. But seeing this thing that needs fixed does put a sense of dread in you. You see the actual landscape of the cradle, not just the corner that has been idealized by the Forge Master. You see the parts of the world where you, even from this distance, being able to look out these windows, you can see the dead bodies of past gods just strewn about. You can see what probably were lakes that are just putrid existences of water, maybe. You see creatures that you've never seen before that look most unpleasant, and are already traveling in packs trying to take down other creatures in blatant disregard. You can see, even in the distance, two titanic figures that are currently fighting up against another side of the ridge, that are
Mhm.
currently just pounding each other into the mountaintop, one trying to take the other's life.
Mm-hmm.
You see in this moment the facade that is your corner of the cradle showing the real cradle as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
We can fix it. We can make everything just like it is here. It'll be fine. It'll be
She's
fine.
slowly walking forward, scoops up her sword from off the ground where it struck the quill, walks forward as the quill continues to inch itself forward, and she steps down on like the stem of the quill as if like stepping on somebody's neck.
Mm-hmm.
You can't fix it all. It's already been ruined. And you helped ruin it.
We just need more time.
More time for what?
New ideas. We can innovate. We can figure out what went wrong.
From whose perspective? Yours? Where you get to lord over all of us and experiment on us and treat us like your toys, your playthings, something to be discarded at the blink of an eye.
I don't want to hurt you. I the
You
other
already
gods.
did.
The other gods got stuck here. I was already here. I liked this place. Well, but I can't look at that anymore. And is just like staring out at the abyssal nature that is the rest of the cradle. Abyssal? Abysmal. Abysmal.
Abysmal. Not abyssal. That's a
Different.
different game. It's a different game. Um, I feel like we've been accidentally doing the connect with someone move. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
Okay.
more or less.
Um, so I think I want to ask the question.
Mhm.
Well, for the folks at home, when you try to connect with someone, tell them something intimate and answer one. The GM will reveal a fragment of their pain as they answer the other. Um, and I'm going to answer what's still the yeah, the one I'm going to answer is what still divides us. What still divides us is mortality versus divinity. They have a more ignorant perspective because they say they treasure humanity and they want to take the time to fix things, but they have all the time in the world. Humanity doesn't. And that's what still divides us.
Mm.
He's talking about creating change on his timeline in his lifetime. He's not thinking about the lives that are still being impacted as he takes his time to make that change. The change isn't significant enough.
Nope. That is super fair.
So you could answer what common ground do we share?
Yeah. I think as you watch this creature, which went from very intimidating as the presence down to this small thing. I mean, the quill's the size of you, so like
Mm-hmm.
realistically, it's still like a decent, still a little terrifying. I'd be scared
Yeah.
of a quill the size of a person.
Yeah, that would be a little weird for sure.
As this thing is crawling, you hear it talk about. We don't know why we got dropped here either. I may have preferred it here, but having the other home for everyone else was great. I stayed here, and no one else was here to bug me. And you hear a desperation of someone who's, as far as everyone knows, at some point the river just gave out, and then the gods were just stuck here. And
Mm-hmm.
like this happened to a deity who seemed to enjoy walking on the cradle, like enjoyed being here and creating and interacting with things here. Um, so they also got stuck with a bunch of gods that went on a murder spree. That wasn't necessarily a thing they were looking for. And you can tell by like their actual physical stature and their heart that they are not a thing that is made to. They are not attempting to conquer and like consume everything. They have their own hunger for something in particular, but it is not as destructive or hurtful as the others, and it is trying to keep itself in balance. May have said too much there, but that's fine.
Mm-hmm. No, she's holding the tip of her sword, like just a razor's edge away from the stem of this quill to like deal a final blow. Um, and I think instead of, I think this is one moment where she restrains her impulsiveness and asks one question. Or actually, no. Yes. Um, do you really want to make this world a better place?
Yes, I want it livable for as many things as possible.
Then you need to own your flaws, not hide them. You need to improve yourself before you can improve anything around you. You need to protect those that can't protect themselves instead of giving more power to those who have plenty. Do you think you can do that?
Is this a specific role you're asking, or is this
Nope.
just a general question?
This is just
Uh,
straight up roleplay.
cool. Double checking. Cool. I had to go over the questions again in my head. Yes, I. That's why I blocked off this part of the cradle. I'm trying. I can expand. I've been expanding slowly. It's taken a couple centuries, but like it's been happening.
You realize centuries are far too slow for the average human lifespan.
I do. I've seen a lot pass, but gods are killing and waging war. If I'm useful, I don't die. They don't. I serve every side, so I don't die. So I can make my slow progress. It, it's it's what I have right now. If you think pushing harder is going to work, it could. I've never tried it.
You need to stop playing both sides and choose your own. If you love this place so much, you can't keep fueling their war. And I think she's going to spare a god. She's going to remove her foot and pull the blade away. Um,
Cool, cool, cool.
and takes a half step back. And I'm gonna roll 2d6 and see what happens.
This is a crucible move where you don't
It is
add
a crucible.
anything.
Correct. Right. Um, this is a 7. So on a 7 to 9, they perform a single favor of your choosing, such as lifting a curse or performing a miracle. And I think the single favor. Oh, that's hard. I think she ends it with she said something along the lines of stop both sidesing this. Choose your own side. Um, I think she'll say, how do I want to phrase this? I think she'll say, I refuse to allow any careless god to live. The the Tempest Dancer took my home from me and everyone in it because I didn't do things exactly the right way. She didn't give me a chance to ask for forgiveness. I'm going to give you a chance to earn forgiveness. And you can start by helping me improve this weapon so that I can destroy the Tempest Dancer. She holds out her sword. She's asking him for a sort of miracle um, that would improve her weapon and help in her crusade against the gods, so to speak.
Um, the quill, which is basically just Clippy. It's just Clippy, but as a quill. The quill begins raising up to a position where it can look and feel. It doesn't have eyes, but it like there's just a general sense of it looking at you, kind of like if a snake's head just like turned towards you. As the point just turned towards you and looks at the weapon. And there's almost a shudder at your flawed item that almost killed it a few moments ago. I never designed a weapon for a mortal to kill a god with. Shouldn't be that different, I guess.
There's a first time for everything. Also, Vinny, maybe boost your mic just a little bit.
Yeah,
Apparently, you're a little quiet.
I brought it closer. That's
Right.
the best we're gonna get, guys. Unfortunately, unless I'm right here, which none of us want.
No, that's some weird ASMR shit that
Yep.
nobody signed up for.
Yep, not a one of us, nor me. Um, as the Forge Master begins to rise a little bit in its quill form, it does not necessarily take on its larger forged form. it begins to look over the blade and look around at the supplies that it carries and says, "Okay, um, well, the forges are lit. Let's get designing. Um, are you okay with some embellishments? Are you okay with like some nifty design parts as well, or are you just more of a more of a just function over form? Got it.
Just long staring at this fucking quill. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
uh, as the Forge Master does eventually take up his large form, you watch him nesting doll, like like the armor opens up, and then the individual underneath then opens up, and then like a small skeletal version comes out. That the
horrifying.
quill, yeah, that the quill is inside. The skeleton is made out of metal, but it is smaller enough that it can use hands, and
Ah,
it begins being able to,
he needs thumbs.
yes, um, the big flaw of gods. They need thumbs too. And begins getting to work on your weapon. What kind of redesign or
Oh
enchantments
shit.
do you think Thorn would be getting for this? I have an add-on idea that I'm going to probably drop in afterwards, just
Sure.
because it makes me chuckle. Um,
I think it would be fun to give it like a Mjolnir type effect where it returns. Like if she throws it, it returns to her.
hell yeah, that is always fun. Um, the Forge Master could not work in anything less than a perfected form as an end result. So when your blade returns, it only in shape does it resemble the blade that you once had. In its material, it almost looks like it is now a different material somehow. It is cleaned and new. It is sharpened. It is oiled. It is engraved in areas that it was not before, but smaller, more intricate. Um, and as the blade is handed back to you, it is explained the properties of being able to return. But I figured you may also enjoy having some additional reach as well. And as you like touch a certain part of the pommel, I don't know if you've seen Ivy from Soul Calibur.
Oh, it's been years, but yes.
You watch as the sections of the blade disconnect to find a chain in the center of it, and as it turns into a full sword whip.
Incredible. Throwback to this one time when my brother and I were obsessed with Soul Eater, and literally we would talked about what kind of weapons we would have if we were all meisters, right?
Meisters.
Um,
Oh, I meant Soul Calibur, not Soul Eater.
no. But
Okay.
I'm saying that my headcanon for my weapon was a like sword whip thing. So
Nice.
this is just really funny to me.
Yeah,
Um,
as you fling it back, you watch it all reconnect back together, but with a simple flick of the wrist,
mm,
it separates.
hmm Cool. Now, my question is, are we, regardless of your role, you receive a semblance of their power, is are from sparing a god.
Mm-hmm.
Are we counting this as the semblance of power from sparing the god?
I don't know if that specifically counts. The power part, I'd have to get back to it real quick. Cause
Yeah, because his domains are innovation and craftsmanship, right?
yes. Um, so I mean, we could have the weapon be that manifestation if we want it to be, or if we want you to have maybe more. You could also combine innovation with the powers that you already have to create more uh, ruined, not just like vines, but architecture or stuff like that. Like you can
Mm.
enhance that ability. So yeah, I'll let you either decide if you want like it to enhance the blade itself or enhance your current magic set that you have.
I do like the idea of like innovation sort of being like it's like a buff, right? It like multiplies, not multiplies, but like it buffs whatever I'm doing, depends on what I activate it for. So I
Mhm.
like that idea.
Cool. All right. All right. You gain a new divinity as well. No, that's not that part. It's the
Mm,
power that you gain,
yeah,
and
I gained a
then
power.
yeah, cool. I know there's a way that you overclock it and then lose it, but I can't remember what part that is.
That's if you manifest a miracle.
Manifest miracle. There we go. That's the thing. Power, divinity, miracle. Separate
Yeah,
those.
yeah. It's all a little tricky.
Cool. Uh, very fun combo, but yes. So it takes not much time at all in the long span of things. Um, they continue to work on this project as you are there in this inner sanctum. Um, and as you are, you do eventually find that there are not just one or two, but a multitude of husks of former gods that seem to have gotten dragged from the wretches of the cradle back into his abode. One of them being the lunar enchantress, the
Hmm.
uh, god that you had a. My brain's blinking. So many gods, so many weird names.
Mechanically, the covenant I have is grief, which
Grief with.
I think I grieve this god because I maybe had a good like sort of working relationship with her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for some background on Thorn for the folks at home, Thorn was sort of the, despite her gender being witch, I kind of took it a little literally. She was like local healer in her city. And so from my perspective, worked with a multitude of gods. Um, and I think one of them was the Lunar Enchantress, and they were friendly. They were on good terms. Um, but we never did answer the question, what dangerous secret does their corpse still hold? Do we want to sort that out?
Sure. Um, are you okay if this is more of a Gari lore thing than an
I'm
actual thing?
so fucking down for that. Yeah.
Um, as you begin to, if you see the husks of bodies, you look at them and see that there is not much remaining of them at all. For most of the forms, they can be varied and different, but these ones all had some type of either bestial or humanoid shape to them.
Hmm.
The lunar hair, lunar enchantress, um, very much had more of a humanoid esque figure. But all you see now are the remnants of clothes and just the skin. Like whatever would be considered the outside of the body is
Oof.
just there. And you
Oof.
see that missing on across all of them as a whole.
I think like their skeletons? Is that what you're saying?
All of the
Like what
internal
would be
parts
their
of them.
skeleton?
Yeah, everything internal.
Wild. Ew.
And as you are like looking at this and poking around, you hear a clomping, a metallic clomping, and you see this large, like 15, 20 foot tall mechanical wolf that kind of just appears at you with like slightly glowing, like moons for eyes, almost this light, like slightly bluish glow in the eyes. And you see next to them another large mechanical creature of some sort, like a
Hmm.
bear, that seems to have like thick hide that you're not sure where it comes from, but has like glowing eyes like the sun. And as they just both kind of observe you for a second as you are uh, poking around one part of this foundry, and the head kind of just bows down to you for a moment.
They're within the foundry. She sort of looks it up and down confused. Um, and I think she calls out because I want to lean into that flaw of being impulsive. Who are you?
You begin to hear a hissing, almost like a steam pipe that has like a little link in it. You hear a sss, and you hear Celine, which you know to be the name of Lunar Enchantress.
Well, that's fucking creepy. I think she looks to the mechanical wolf, back to the enchantress's corpse, back to the lunar wolf. I'm not quite sure if she believes it, but also these are fucking gods. They do whatever the hell they want. Um, and she goes, "How?"
You hear like a thrumming of an engine that takes a moment to like turn the belts or whatever for making car noises for someone who doesn't know mechanics in cars. And you hear an elongated F before Forge Master.
This feels very a Full Metal Alchemist with the guy who makes the chimera with not the chimera. Yes, chimera.
Chimera? I think
The,
Chimera.
the, the dog and his daughter, and they get merged into one. It's like really fucked up.
Sure.
It feels like that.
That
I'm
can be
just
the
saying
line.
it's unsettling like
That's
that.
fair. Unsettling, I'm fine with.
Like that's what it feels like. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Like that's kind of the vibe, my dude.
If it helps, I'll give a little more of a word.
Yeah. Well, so she says Forge Master. Thorn asks, "Why?"
There's an elongated S again, and you hear saved what remained. Live again.
Terrifying. Um. Oh, that highlight is too big. Sorry, I'm making notes
That's fair.
as one does. I think she steps forward closer to the wolf towards Celine. And she'll get very close. And she'll reach a hand out and sort of I'm imagining this as like a giant wolf. Do I have that correct? Like
Yeah,
she's fucking massive.
20
Like
feet
I'm
tall.
yeah,
So
I'm talking like yeah, 20 feet tall. That's some Transformers shit.
yeah.
And she if memory serves right, the face was lowered because she did like a little bow thing. She kind
Mm-hmm.
of just reaches up and puts a hand on the snout.
Oh, the snoot. Yeah.
Um, yeah,
You boop the snoot. Got it.
not boop it,
Uh,
just puts a hand on it.
you feel like a low rumble, but the eyes close for a moment. Uh, as that happens, the bear kind of just like shrugs its shoulders and continues sauntering on,
Yeah,
ignoring this interaction. But the eventually Celine gets down, so she is splooting mechanically,
what
mechanical sploot,
mechanical
um,
salute.
and then just like stares at you for a moment. And when you are close up, you can see that this entire body is mechanized, metal all over. It is like the mouth opens for like a quick pant, and you see like a mechanical tongue and teeth. You see the irises have kind of. I work with cameras. I should know this. The shutters.
Butter.
Wow,
Yeah,
my brain forgot the word for parts of cameras, which is not great. For me.
Oops.
Uh, yeah.
Is it painful?
The change or now?
I suppose both.
Not now. And I was dead, so I don't remember. I don't think so. Felt like a dream. All right, doing exactly what I assumed we'd end up doing.
Which is what?
Because we are who we are.
We are who we are.
It's
No, I'll end this off with her saying, "I'll let you rest," and she leaves Celine be.
okay.
There's complicated feelings around having mourned the death of this god, and now the god is technically back, and it's just weird.
Yeah.
And in a very new form.
Yep.
It's just a little weird. Just a smidge weird. Was there anything left to do with the Forge Master?
Not really. I mean, if there's closing remarks, otherwise that it's going to be you get new weapon, and you set upon your way with at least information on how to potentially track down this god all about freedom and wind and movement.
Yes, that would be good. Yes, some information on how to track the Tempest Dancer would be fantastic.
Cool. You were given some basic maps of the whole new part of the cradle that you haven't known existed before. And eventually like some etchings of how air currents work around inside. And it says, well, there's patterns depending on the weather, and right now we're in kind of the summery period. Not that you could tell the difference out there, but you know, and the currents move in certain patterns and directions. You're most likely gonna find her over and just like like etches over 4 different ways with charcoal how the potential ways that this is gonna work. And be like, so that's the circle that might work. And gives you the names of a couple potential locations that she frequents on her vacationing across the cradle.
Yeah, one of those used to be my city.
Yeah, your old city, which I don't know that we had a name for. And then a place called the Thermal Oasis and the Glade Hollow.
Which one's closer?
The closest is actually Glade Hollow.
All right. Glade Hollow it is. Say that 5 times fast. Glade Hollow.
I know.
Glide
it was a bad choice, but I did it.
It was a bad choice. It's not the best of choices.
I did it. Bop, bop. Fine. The closest one is the Thermal Oasis. It's fine. It doesn't matter. Whichever one is easier to do. Yeah, we can say Thermal Oasis, actually. And that'll be easier to say, and then we'll all be happy. You begin setting out on the more desolate form of the cradle and head your way over towards, with map in hand, your directions towards the Thermal Oasis. And I think we'll take a quick break.
Okay.
That way we can come back and go through the rest.
Yay.
All right. We'll be back in a few minutes, guys.
Here, this is.
Got multiple.
This is such a problem tonight. Fuck. Anyway, the problem is it's because Ken keeps talking.
I guess I'll just shut the fuck up.
I guess I'll
just do like your bliss voice for Kid instead or something. Just use a different
No,
voice.
it's fine. It's fine.
Which bliss voice is the question?
Is one of them Southern?
No.
I mean, there's people.
Oh,
But
okay, cool.
there's not like a
What
lot
col-
of people, but people.
Oh, I didn't know. I assumed we were the only 4 in the shop, so that's my mistake.
Well, I mean, his shop is kind of like an outdoor stall. Like again, he's literally like that guy from the opening from Aladdin, where it's like it's
Mel, the face. I
My
want
mistake.
that. I want that face as our new group
Please
chat.
no. Please no.
It's happening.
Conspiracy me. For fuck.
Sid gets a sending message and just hears in their mind.
Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Oh fuck.
Here's,
Oh fuck.
here's, Mama, I haven't failed you yet. Much improved. Where the hell have you been? Miss you? Fuck him up.
I will say you don't get that message.
What?
What?
You're not playing that character right now. You don't know what's going on. Sid, you have a nice
Okay.
daydream about a message from Maybe.
Oof.
Vinny. Ow.
Vincent, the fuck?
Probably the least liked. Things that smelled awful, ratty mud off the street, and One Love explained it as if you give even the worst thing a chance to be better, there's a good chance it might happen. Visual, very hard set expressions, curly, slightly auburn, reddish hair. Emanates an aura or an energy around her that is frightening.
I hate this. I hate this so much.
Carries a shield with a face on it.
No! 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 Vinny, no! Vinny, no! I'm so sorry that you guys have no clue, but also I'm so glad you have no clue because you would also be equally as angry.
I'm so happy that the wedding happened, so I don't have to deal with this Mel in person. It's this Mel in person.
Oh, I would have smacked you. I would have been like, "Hey, bud, come here, give me a hug." Smack upside the head. How fucking dare you?
I mean, I now live like.
You okay? You watch as the dark-skinned woman begins reaching for her in the armor and just like trying to grab onto the side of her arm.
Immediately distracted, she turns to her, she grabs her hand, she goes, "I'm okay, it's fine, we're okay, I think, just
No one's gonna hurt you unless you start slinging lightning spells. And also are a part of Husk and want to destroy the world for whatever reason.
What the fuck is Husk?"
First of all, the Ivory Queen has some ways to get us out of the city. From here, that might be easier to get to than the greenhouse, especially considering how far the greenhouse is from us, and the fact that we neglected to remember that the city sells watermelon that lets you see through invisibility and disguise self. So,
I'm sorry, what?
yeah, there's magical fruit. It's kind of normal now, so I kind of forgot to think about it. But there's magic fruit that makes you do all wonder of things. It's really, really fun. But one of those is see basically into the ethereal plane.
I can't fucking wait to leave this place. What the fuck is this fucking hellscape?
But it's so
Where you've got
interesting.
weird ass magic fruit.
How's your day going?
Good. We have band things going on. I saw my owner, did my dance, liked my dance, he liked my day, and he gave me belly scratches, and now I'm here, hang out with you, and, are your day going good? Good day, right? Good day.
Yeah, it's not a bad day, so far. She, like, gives you a pat on the head a couple times.
Leans, like, right onto you. Good day.
Yeah. Oh, it warms her heart. She's just like, it'll be fine.
So much
right?
better
Like,
than dog jail.
adding somebody in the group. Ugh.
Oh, you're gonna make me
Color
cry.
drains to her face.
It just took me so long to register what you just said. Goodness gracious.
I still think we should put in the fine print that, may induce death later on if you don't come up with a good catchphrase and transform properly.
All right, I'm coming around on this.
That's what I heard from our first meeting. So,
Must be okay
I'm all
with
for
hair
it.
color changes, and sometimes skin tone color changes, and sometimes physical species changes as well. We don't know. What if you pull the dog card and someone turns into a dog?
Okay, I'm back in.
That's gonna be confusing.
Neither of us belong here. That's it.
It's fine. It was. I belong here. Look, I had a long Sunday. Is it? We don't belong in the Undercity. We don't belong on Wishfall. We don't belong in Vigari. Can you be more specific, please? There's just like a lot of different places.
She will spend 3 first level spell slots to answer. I'm gonna kill you.
At least
Vinny.
you're about to get your rest.
Yeah, no, thank fuck. But if you do that, Blizza's gonna stand up and kind of offer her hand to help him up. Then your mother's gonna have to kill you, and she doesn't want to do that. She's up there. She looks up towards the tower.
You can see that Irona is actually like one finger up, still just like cantrip shooting a few things that are in the distance. It's like, check it out, like a couple small things here and there. Scaran just looks up and is like, how do I talk to her without getting shot in the process?
If you have me with you, she'll hopefully be calm. Enough. I told her that we thought you might be under a spell that would have messed with your memory. What?
19.
Yeah, 19.
Alright, another fireball on her face. She cries out in aggravation. Another orb of blackened blood and darkness begins to form together and form back up. Ouchies. Anything from trees, and it's like, those could make some cool toys. Some good wood.
Yeah,
Some nice
like
bark.
that would make a good grave. Like I think the justification is that would make a good grave. I would not bury somebody there.
Don't bury somebody to that dirt. Don't do it.
We're not burying anyone here. We can't kill anyone because we can't bury them
I
here.
want to know what justifies as bad dirt now.
Like if it's not gonna be like good quality, if it's not gonna, yeah, you would know
No,
too.
not as Lyra.
Wait. So... You'd be kind of zombie
Valley?
walking a little. Like real slow walk up. Yeah.
Nixie?
Yeah, Valley,
Yes.
you turn and see Nixie in this glorious, bubbly appearance, standing in front of you, maybe looking a little stiff and awkward and unsure of what to do. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nixie.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, looking very confused.
So when were you gonna tell me that the rest of you were this thing that I've been running from for the last, like, 2 years?
Okay, 1, to be fair, we didn't know you were running. 2, we haven't told anyone, not even my siblings know. And 3, are you okay?
I'm blue now!
And as that, we hear another horrible shriek from the quad.
We will
Bubba
deal
goes,
with the blue thing later, it'll go away.
Yeah. Bubba says, we can talk about this later, we really need to get going. I mean, not to be a person of a singular track mind, but, you know, that's the way the kid wants to go, is just down that one tunnel instead of laying out into these other ones. We can always check them on our way back, but
Did you just make a one-track mind joke?
Yes, I did. Fuck off.
God. Awful.
Fen
Listen.
meows an annoyance.
I give him scritches.
George, just happy to be alive.
Yeah,
George is
just hanging out, just
George is
trotting
just
along.
doing his
Goes up
best.
to Sid, hoping for some pets.
Oh, yeah.
Bit of it.
Sid just picks him up and he's like, oh, hi, buddy.
Oh god.
Through observation, we've
Theoretically.
learned how important it is to keep it to oneself.
All right, Lyra, town girl.
What's Bells doing? Yeah, I want to know how Bells is feeling right now.
She's giving shade! Talk shit, get shit!
2. Once Bells has taken a few moments to process, they are...
Walking through the entranceway is maybe Solara, Ara, Chiv, and you see a young boy with familiar hair and eyes
Motherfucker.
with an
Oh,
adult old gentleman with short gray hair. There we go. The whole gang's back together. And that's where we're gonna end this session.
Oh my god.
Because I'm not sure I understand.
Is she acting good because she thinks acting good is going to keep everybody together, or is she just acting good because she got it all out of her system the night before?
She got most of it out of her system, so she's mellowed out.
Okay, that's all I was asking. Mellowette? Like just a little mellow? A small mellow?
She's mellowed.
Yeah, I see that coming.
I'm hanging up now.
Hi, Mel.
No,
Funny
you're
shit.
good.
It's funny as
It
shit.
hurts now.
Yeah, full stress to full laughter does that.
I'm gonna mute now. I'll be right back.
You go do your thing.
We would have gone and done the fucking mudslide. That would happen at some point.
It's Sid's favorite place. It is Sid's favorite place. Sid loves dirt.
It loves dirt.
It is a great paladin that
I've
swings
got
a
a jar,
shovel
jar.
axe.
It
Of
was
course,
just,
Sid
it
loves
was
dirt.
Ariel.
It was just the way you said
Darling,
it.
It was the way you said it.
Fantastic.
We're not
Sid loves
arguing the
dirt.
fact, it's just the...
It was the aggressive affection for dirt.
Is the love... I do have a question. Is the love for dirt greater than the love they have for Yvette? Because I don't think we've ever heard them talk about Yvette like that. It's like, I love you, and then I love dirt.
It's different. Dirt is like part of their
That's what they all
personality.
say.
Dirt is to Sid as necromancy is to
To Yvette.
Yes.
like probably equal amounts of love, but it's
Walking through the entranceway is maybe Solara, Ara, Chiv, and you see a young boy with familiar hair and eyes
Motherfucker.
with an
Oh,
adult old gentleman with short gray hair. There we go. The whole gang's back together. And that's where we're gonna end this session.
oh my god.
No,
Funny
you're
shit.
good.
It's funny as
It
shit.
hurts now.
Yeah, full stress to full laughter does that.
I'm gonna mute now. I'll be right back.
You go do your thing.
Probably the least liked. Things that smelled awful, ratty mud off the street, and Love explained it as if you give even the worst thing a chance to be better, there's a good chance it might happen.
Are you just like waiting for the transition to end, or are
No,
you
it's
just being
not.
a
I'm
little
just,
shit?
I'm just being a
Okay.
shit.
Because it is a long transition, so I was like,
Oh,
is
I
that how
know.
long it goes?
Yeah,
Like-
it does take a bit. I am just trying to do a thing, seeing if I can make a thing work. The thing we talked about.
Mm.
the poison, Cusco's poison, the poison made specifically for Cusco.
Oh yeah.
All right. That's the most I can do in this moment. So let's hope that works.
Yep.
All right, y'all. Welcome back. Just another quick shout out down to the PCRF. If you have time to donate, we appreciate it. If you can just share the link anywhere, we don't really care where. We're just really not that picky. Just to get the money to them, help the cause, donate or contribute or help in your own way if you can as well. We appreciate it. But now we're gonna res that media in.
Go on.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, my dude.
All right, we are going to pop back into it. So the Cradle is a very large expanse, and now that you've gone over the ridge to the other side, you can see the truest parts and the most difficult parts. Everything, to some extent, has wasteland-esque properties. The water, not fully serviceable, but fine in some aspects. The creatures, wild and rabid in other ways, that are dangerous and more than just the normal, just watch out for wilderness creatures. And the few people you've seen far in between, a couple nomadic tribes or just an individual here and there, haven't been the most friendly. Now, they don't deny you anything, and they are down to communicate, and they're down for trade, and information is almost as good as resources around here. So there are things you can gain and things you can lose, but is there anything in particular that, say you run into a nomadic group of merchants, is there something that you are looking to gain or something that you're looking to trade away when you run into them?
I think she's looking for signs that she is on the right path. If these gods are sort of corporeal, they're very visible. So I think she would be asking if they have seen her come through this way, or if they had passed the Tempest Dancer as she's made her way through the Cradle. And to trade, Thorn has a background in healing. If they had anyone who was sick or injured, she would trade services to tend to those people. And it's a little bittersweet. Because it's a reminder of what she should have been.
Yeah, you are able to put your skills to good use. People can maintain certain aspects, but all it takes is a bad tumble or a dancing accident, and you find yourself.
This feels incredibly targeted.
Look, we just it was in my brain. We were just talking about it. I
feel like people deserve background. My spouse used to be a breakdancer until he tore his Achilles last year. So the fact that I'm chasing the Tempest Dancer, and also this is just very funny.
Very funny, actually.
Funny, actually. It was. I thought you were being clever. It was like a dual meaning type of shit.
Quadruple meaning. It's a lot of things. It's great.
Quadruple meaning.
I don't know. You run into a few people, and for the most part, most of them are fine. But there is an individual who has like a slow spread of something like almost like an ichor underneath the skin, and they're like, if you can take a look at it, we appreciate any assistance. Nemu has been running into some very interesting situations whenever we go to certain towns, and we'd appreciate it if he came back whole from these run-ins. And their son, who seems old enough, but also just, in certain situations like, an apocalypse, you probably stick with family as much as you can. So he seems to be pretty ride or die with his parents and a little bit of an extended family, whether or not he wants to be. But it just kind of like, it's just an accident, got a little hurt a little bit in the shoulder. Wasn't my favorite, but if you can take a look at that. I mean, we could probably tell you where we saw your flighty dancer. Flighty dancer? What's her name? It's like, and the mom's just like, please don't speak ill of gods.
The Tempest dancer. But yeah, I'll take a look at it. And she'll kind of like set up, quote unquote, shop. You know, get, it was their son, right?
Yep.
Their son situated, start looking things over, kind of ask them questions. What's your name?
Nemu.
Nemu.
Yep. Our family name's Pisang, so yeah. There's not a thing there. Because you were just...
And I was just like, is there something here?
No, I just have a bunch of names written down and I'm combining them. That's all. But yeah, Nemu's like, yeah, Nemu, what are you doing out here? You don't seem like you're stuck in this neck of the woods a lot.
I'm passing through.
Must be nice.
No, it's not.
All right.
It's really not.
You know, fair enough.
I don't know if this is a...
What's up?
I wasn't sure if this would if this interaction triggers any of the moves at all. I think she just starts asking Nemu questions. How did you get hurt? What happened?
Just I got into a fighting ring, and
A fighting ring.
Got me extremely hurt. This definitely isn't from a fight. From as far as you can tell.
Yeah.
It looks sort of like a creature. So like it's very weird. It's like, yeah, you know, I had to beat a few people to win some money. You know, just chips were down. Wasn't able to.
Nemu, and she's going to just like lean in a little closer, talk in a quieter voice. And I think maybe this is, I think maybe this is where I'm going to use the renown move, because when you've killed or spared exactly one god, you can ask one question of the following once per session. And I think I'm going to ask the question, how can I make them trust me? And I'll let you answer that question in your own time, but I think she is going to lean in and quietly ask. Or not ask, but I think she's going to just make the statement, I've never seen a person be capable of this before. In all of my years doing the work that I've done. Something did this to you. Thing.
Yeah.
Not someone.
All right. It's a creature. It was a kind of a fighting. It was a betting ring, at least. It's bare hand combat against creatures. It was the same thing. It was just I don't want them to know.
Who's running the ring?
And somebody named Kodam in the you know, we're going there anyways. The thermal oasis. it's just, they're called famine bees, and they're just really big. And this is from one of their stingers. And most of it's healed. I just don't know what this is, and like pokes at the black stuff.
Yeah. She's going to just like start gently prodding at it, like with her fingertips, trying to understand what it is and what it's doing to him. If anything, it could just be a side effect for all we know.
We also don't...
I guess that feels like something. Feel something out, or
yeah, we can do that.
Okay. Because you're trying to feel out a person, place, or thing. Say what you want clarity about and answer one. Yeah. What effect is this having on him? Like, what is this doing to him? And I think for funsies, I'll swap the questions answered.
All right.
And I'm going to answer what feels dark or unnerving when I peer deeper. And I think what happens is some of my divinities may be drawn to this, and it kind of like leaks out a little. There's dryness in her hands. And in some places when she pulls her fingers away from like prodding around where the sting happened, where these like sort of, you kind of described them as like darkened veins or tendrils are emerging. There's little prints of ash being left behind.
All right.
And so I think the unnerving thing is, as I peer deeper, is he gets a glimpse of my divinity.
Yeah, your power. And he looks plenty confused as that starts going on when this ash appears out of nowhere. As a, was it welcoming on the surface thing is the family as a whole seems to be fairly welcoming. Like they want, until they know that you're helpful and not cruel. There were walls up which come down fairly quickly at like a normal conversation and helpful healer capabilities. But something welcoming about this mark as a whole is its relations as something called the famine, like famine bees. Famine bees? I think that's what I said.
Yeah, that's what you said, famine bees.
Is that a lot of creatures are made from certain gods and divinities, and this one happens to be a creature made by the Void Gazer. So a welcoming part of this is that this feels very familiar. And probably, one, not dangerous if removed, and two, probably a thing that you could remove through either the guise of healing influence or other methods.
Yeah. You good? There's like a small little like sound, like a small like gurgle on your end. I was like, you good? I think are we like sort of away from the parents?
Yeah, he
like,
wouldn't have said that. He wouldn't have told you unless you guys were away from the parents.
I think what she'll say is, I will keep your secret if you will keep mine. And she's going to it's not quite unleashing her divinity, but it is like sort of making use of it on like a, like, because unleash your divinity is like, it's big, right? And that's not what she's doing. It's like a minor use of it, almost like what one would do when they trigger a power, right? And she's going to sort of place all 5 fingertips of one hand, like sort of in a circle around where the puncture wound was. And because she has control over, it's not quite the same, but it's very similar. Wait, let me check. I need to check his there's so much information. Blah.
It does sound like Wheel of Power, but I don't know if this is big enough that you need a roll, unless we want to just roll for the funsies of it.
I feel like this doesn't warrant a roll because it's this sort of festering is it's kind of what her divinity is sort of imbued in. Although hers it's more like ash and like sort of destruction in that manner. It's similar, and I think she's able to she arranges her fingertips in a circular shape around the wound, and we just see the inky blackness sort of emerging slowly out of the wound, and she's kind of like it looks like it's going into the sleeve of her shirt, but really she's absorbing it.
You watch him go
siphoning it, if you will. Just it's okay. It's okay.
Just makes a small humming noise to himself. To be like, okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Just
fully tense during the rest of this checkup.
Yep. It'll only be another minute, I promise, and then it'll be gone.
Okay, but what is that? What was that? What is?
I'm not sure if I should explain it to you.
You know, I'm also not sure if I like that answer better or worse. That's fine. This is it coming out's a good thing, right? Like just double checking.
It's a good thing.
Okay. I will accept that. Thank you. And just shudders, in not a fun way. Why? Was it ink? What is it? What is this? This is another thing I shouldn't ask.
Let's just say I have connections with the god who lords over the bees you were fighting.
Weird.
So many creatures in this place. Well, so many places, so many creatures, so many things in this world are under domains of certain gods. Including the famine bees.
Well, I knew they weren't friendly, but this is, I wish I at least won the fight. That would have made it a little worthwhile.
But what have you gotten out of it if you won the fight?
Decent enough amount of money. We've gotten us some extra supplies. I think we also won a beast of burden. I don't remember if it was an ox or a horse. But, you know, an extra thing that carries things is meat. Would have been good. Like we don't move fast because we got and like gestures at like the kids running around and stuff, and like at least a couple older generation people. We travel at a slow pace, so just like an extra thing that could actually eat the grass around here, and like gestures at like the wilted, very like desaturated grass that exists in like small tufts here and there. Something that could handle this would have been nice.
Well, you live to fight another day.
That's the plan. Where are you trying to go? I mean, you said you wanted information for this, but like,
I've been looking for the Tempest Dancer. She owes me an answer.
Do gods normally deliver on their answers?
Depends. Sometimes we have to make them.
Okay. That was a really intense thing you just said. I don't know how to handle that.
Just tell me this. If you were in the thermal oasis, by any chance did you see the Tempest Dancer there?
No, but there's definitely a crowd of her people there, and if she's not there, she might be going there. There's they were getting ready. There's a place called Hinderless. It's like it was part of where this happened. It's the whole underground thing, but it's not underground. It's not above ground. I assume it's because she doesn't want to be underground because she's like a tempest thing. Anyways, but like this whole area where it's like celebrations and festivities, and it looked like they were ramping up right before this happened, for bigger fights and bigger things and more interesting stuff. So, and there was also a big dust storm coming in. She arrives by a big dust storm. Sorry. Yeah. So I mean that's potentially. That was like 2 days ago. So I mean, if she's celebrating, she doesn't stay super long, but she might be there for a bit.
Potentially will have to work for me.
What does she owe you an answer about?
Oof. Ooh. She destroyed my home.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry too. I wasn't there.
Were you just going to ask her why?
Something like that.
Unless you have more to say, I think that's a good spot to cut it.
No, I think I think it's something like that, and then we hard cut to she's on the road again and has left this like family, this caravan behind. Looking more determined than ever because she's on the right track.
Hell yeah. On foot, especially you're probably going faster than they are. Their caravan moves very slow because of the whole variety of ages and ability to walk that everyone has, or ability to move in general. So as you begin probably a day's travel, you eventually actually, quick curiosity, we don't have to sit on this, I'm just curious, how does, if she beds down, we haven't defined exactly how much this divinity affects somebody. Does Thorn bed down for the night somewhere, or like keep watch and just rest her body if it needs to, or does she just go through the night?
I think there's some semblance of her that's still human and still needs to sleep. Like, just because she's imbued with divinity does not mean that she suddenly gains like elf sleep, whatever they call it, trancing, right? Yeah, like she doesn't have that. Gotcha. I think she still needs to rest. She still needs to feed herself. Maybe the more she sinks into her divinity, maybe not, but at this point. She still needs to rest. She still needs to sleep and eat and recover. I was thinking about manifesting a miracle.
All right.
In order to... Well, Actually, I'm not sure how I can make either of these apply. Never mind. I am not going to manifest a miracle.
You sure?
I was going to try to get her to the oasis faster. But I don't see how either of the powers that she's gained can apply there. So
one of them is building, the other one was...
One of them is innovation, and the other one was dreams.
Innovation and dreams. I think it would, in this situation, at least in my brain, there might be more clever people out there. I also have a difficulty seeing an exact way of using those.
Yeah, I agree. Never mind on manifesting a miracle.
It's kind of like card captors, where like you only have certain cards, they only do certain things, and there's only so much you can do with them. Cool. All right.
But yeah, so she would need to bed down for the night.
All right. As you bed down, you wake up in the morning to a dust storm not far off in the distance. In the direction you are currently heading.
Is it heading away from me or towards me?
Towards, specifically, I mean, there's an in-between point that it's heading, but yes, towards you.
Well, yeah, like... Oh, okay, so is the oasis then between us? Or... Okay. I'm going to quickly make my way, the rest of my way, to the thermal oasis.
Yep.
Stop that.
Doesn't even work for that one. That one was a stretch.
Really
cool. As you begin traveling, probably an hour walk away from the oasis, you hear galloping coming up behind you.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn and look and see who's coming my way.
I figured. You see Nemu riding up on a horse. And
what are you doing?
Well, I figured one of two things. Either this is going to go really poorly for you, and then it might be something interesting to watch, or it could go really good for you, in which case maybe I can walk out of here with the second beast of burden. Plus, I'm also good with this, and like holds up a bow and arrow on his back. I don't know. I feel like 1v1ing a god seems like a bad idea.
Fine, but keep your distance. She kind of like notes the bow and arrow.
That's where I like to be. Except that one time with the famine bees. He says, and begins galloping forward.
Just galloping forward just leaves me behind. Dope.
You said keep your distance.
Oh, fair enough. I meant more in like the combat sense, but sure. Yeah, totally.
That was not specified, so he
nope, that's on me.
Went ahead.
Yeah. That's fine, that's chill. Yeah, so there's just like this bit of a head shake. It's just like this, I mean, I actually never got, how old is Nemu? Or how old does he appear to be?
22, 23.
Yeah. So if she's like in like her mid-30s, she's like this fucking punk ass kid.
Yeah. This no good punk ass kid who's
this fucking no good punk ass kid.
He's at the invincibility era of his life. He's doing
God.
Great. Remember those?
No,
that, like,
I never
2
had
months?
that.
Oh, I had like 2 months.
Nope. I'm too anxious for that shit.
You know, that's fair. I wish I was anxious then. That probably would have been helpful. Cool. As you begin walking into through this desert area, you find yourself at the Thermal Oasis, which is a small jewel amid the sands. It's a thriving small society with fairly clean water compared to everything else that you've seen. There are a couple small water sources that seem to be well taken care of by the people around. You see that besides what was probably the caravan that Nemu went with originally, there are even more small little nomadic tribes or groups that are gathering here. It seems to be an in-between spot for many an individual. And a lot of buildings are just carved purely out of what stone was here, including basins and pools. Some people seem to actually have areas of water for like more of a luxury than just pure necessity. Some people are able to use them for relaxing in, bathing in, like it's public bath kind of scenario. But in the distance, while all this is going on, you can see that what is amounts to basically a circus tent. There seems like a small typhoon is happening inside.
Yeah, we're going that way. We're gonna crash this party for sure. She makes her way up to the tent, or through the various pools and buildings around. She makes her way up to the tent where there seems to be a typhoon happening. I'm going to sort of. No, I gotta play true to her flaw, and she's gonna be impulsive. I don't think she's gonna be very cautious about this. Very brazenly walks through the entryway. Tries to take in her surroundings. What's going on in here?
Cool. You see a very fluid form with blue skin and sapphire eyes that is dancing around the interior while touching nothing. Feet just seem to hit off of air, off of nothing as they move around. Decorating their body seems to be wisps of wind that kind of treat it like a light cloak, almost like a sheer fabric that just is consistently always around them. The most like taunt parts of their body seem to be, or not most taunt, the most physical parts of their body where everything else feels kind of ephemeral, kind of a little ethereal, is the outfit that they have that is almost like, not tie-dye, but like a full rainbow spectrum of color that
kind of ombre.
Yeah,
ombre, like a gradient ombre.
It's yes.
Ombre usually means from like top down. It's like a variety of colors.
Me looking up ombre just to make sure that when I describe,
you'll probably see hair.
I will in fact see a lot of hair.
Yeah, it's usually a dyeing technique.
It is an actual full rainbow spectrum. It is just not tie-dye-esque, but yes, it's more of the pattern that you're talking about with ombre, where it's like it's a gradient like, downwards.
Yeah, it's smoother, it's softer, it's
so this full outfit is the only thing that kind of hugs the form and allows it to be like, oh, there is a physical thing somewhere in there, and it has a bit of a cape that also like flutters in the wind as well, that is also its own little rainbow aesthetic. Inside there are people around in circles that are playing instruments. There's like one circle specifically that is just instruments playing. Everyone else seems to also be dancing or has not sacrifices, but the other word that's not as deadly when it comes to offerings. That those things.
I had to think about that one for a second.
Yeah, me too. It's like what's the thing where it's not necessarily a thing that's being killed? Offerings around. Many of them seem to have small things like small wind fans and stuff. Other ones seem to be just putting out what food seems to be serviceable in the general area, and you watch as while she moves around, if she like comes across like a pomegranate, she kicks it up with her wind fan, twirls and slices it, and then has a piece and just continues moving around. And you just watch as they continue to just circle and circle and circle. And besides her own form being very much a little hurricane, it's always creating a current. There's always a current just moving constantly.
Ooh, that's interesting. Sorry, I'm looking at the moves again.
Yep, they are very fun.
There's two trains of thought here. Act impulsively or challenge someone dangerous.
We got a stretch, by the way.
Yeah. Fuck, these questions are so interesting, and yet it's so...
What, just unimportant?
No, it's just like, they're just so interesting, and yet sometimes I have a hard time wrapping my brain around them.
Well, if one speaks out to you, we can at least flow with it, and maybe I'll just answer one, and that can inspire
I
you.
think I'm going to play into the flaw of being impulsive, and I'm going to act impulsively. I think seeing the Tempest Dancer celebrating, having a good time after everything she's done pisses me the fuck off. And I hurl my newly renovated sword.
Just tossing that thing all the time.
Listen, and now it's got the returning of
I know.
it's got the returning thing on it. Like I'm just gonna do that with reckless abandon.
That's
act impulsively.
super fair.
I hurl it and aim for well, actually what I'm gonna say is I'm gonna hurl it at her. And then I'm going to... what advantage do I... Okay, so here's the thing. I have to answer one of these questions. What advantage... the thing that trips me up is, like, when it says, what advantage, like, do you seize or what troubles hit you hard and fast? My brain is like, do I answer that towards myself or towards you? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it an advantage that you as God get to seize, or is it an advantage that I as Godkiller get to seize? Do you know what I mean? Like that's what like trips me up.
I think the best way to think about it when it comes to these questions is we think of them as first person perspective. Like it's always from the Godkiller's point of view. This is your story.
Okay.
So what advantages do you seize? What troubles hit you hard and fast?
Yeah. I think the advantage that I'm going to seize is knowing the fact that I have an ally somewhere nearby. And though I said keep my distance, I'm going to assume that means that he was watching and was heading in the direction that I was heading in. And so I think the advantage I'm going to seize is having some fucking backup.
Sure. As you, and related to that, what trouble hits you hard and fast? Yeah. Nebu was already in here, beating you here. He was like, okay, you're going for this person, so I'm just going to be in there. So he was already in the crowd. Thank God, because if he was like walking in right behind you while you were throwing your sword, it'd be like, oh, I don't know what to do here.
Bad.
So he watches you throw your sword, and are you also having it come back to you at the same time? Is it like doing the full like throw out hit, come back, or what is your full swing with this thing?
Yeah, I think it goes to I think she hurls the sword to strike at her, like right in the forehead. She's fucking massive, you know? And it returns to her, and perhaps, I mean, you're supposed to answer it, but what trouble hits you hard and fast? So that seems
as you do that, you watch as the sword immediately goes through her head, and it disrupts her dancing and what like joy and fun that she's having. But you've battled at least two others, if not more. We've left that a little open ended. But from the other ones you battled, like when something hurts one, you know it, and you watch this
and doesn't
go
hurt
through her like air.
Yeah.
It literally just goes through her, and she sounds disappointed. She's like, who did that while I was spinning? And just like seems annoyed. At the same time, Nemu lines up a shot and also aims for the same spot, and it also goes through. And then she's like, okay, well, that's just aggravating. Who's doing that?
Also, what's something that I didn't notice until now? Because it says the GM will tell you something you didn't notice until now as they answer the other question.
Just now. Is this related specifically to the god or just something in general? Act impulsive.
I mean, I suppose something you didn't notice until now would be, well,
a lot of things in this room, considering you just walked in and tossed a sword. But
yeah.
I would say that from what you figure out real quickly, there is a very unfortunate situation for you where it's not like there is a couple people who kind of worship this deity for the sake of like trying to keep the peace. You realize very quickly by the angry expressions on their face that this deity may actually be beloved by these followers, and immediately you watch as like 24 people rise up in anger at you and just like, what are you doing? How dare you disgrace us as we serve the Tempest Dancer? And then they all turn immediately before they worried about trying to hold you back, assuming you're just a crazy person. Immediately go turn around and just bow towards the Tempest Dancer. I'm so sorry for the disturbance. This person does not speak or act from a part of our clans, our traditions at all. We do not understand why she would be acting like this. Your greatness. So you immediately see almost no one has your back in here.
Oh, yeah. And I would like to follow up with challenge someone dangerous. When you challenge someone dangerous in front of an audience, say what foolish or risky action you'll hope they'll take and roll 2d6. Add 1 for each true statement. It's kind of a... It feels very like... It feels sort of like a emotional dig type of situation. I'm hoping that so this is how I'm going to challenge someone dangerous. Everyone's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? How dare you? And they are trying to pay reverence and ask forgiveness of the Tempest Dancer. And I think Thorn just doesn't even regard them. She only regards the Tempest Dancer. And she says, you irresponsible, sorry excuse for a god. How could you do what you did? How could you destroy a city that loved you? Over what? And I think
you Cradle folk act so weird. She just like tosses her hair. I'm making her a valley girl for no reason.
I kind of low key love it.
Like, oh my god.
But yeah, I guess the risky action I'm hoping that she'll take is
show some.
I mean,
like,
you're
true
kind
colors.
of doing it already. It's kind of showing her true colors. Yeah, is showing like a lack of care. And I think let's see. The only true statement I think that applies here is they think they're stronger than you.
Yeah, that's 100%. And the other
the crowd
two
is
are
not on my side.
Yep, really
the crowd
not.
Is so not on my side.
Really not. Yeah, and I do have an idea for all of these. So depending on what you do.
God. Oh dear. Let's see what happens. Okay, that is a 7. So on a 7 to 9, your target rises to the bait.
Cool. With your action of speaking about like destruction of a city that also worshipped her, and it says, yeah, you it should be. I control the winds. I offer you freedom. What city were you from? Which one was it? Which one decided to not pay their due diligence towards me?
Oh shit! I need a name for the fucking city.
Cradle.
Fuck.
No.
Um. Shit. Oh. God, this is something that should have been worked out
I know, right?
prior
It
to
was like,
stream.
I think we probably should have had
This
first.
might have been
actually.
one of those details that maybe we should have decided ahead of time. Don't be silly with me, sir. I think it's, you know what? Instead of actually naming it, I think she's gonna describe it. Let's see if it sounds familiar. A city that resided along the cliffside facing the ocean. As the breeze brought the scent of sea salt to the air on the daily. It was imperfect. The homes were crumbling and wearing away, but it was full of life. We paid respect to those that came before us, both God and mortal. We had a memorial for a great hero who wielded this sword, and she holds up the remade sword, who defended our city in your name. We paid tribute when we traveled. We gave thanks to you for our safe days, and we gave thanks to you if we survived the oncoming storms. And you washed it away like it was nothing. Like it never mattered.
As you described, you watch the bit of a the gusts slow a bit as she's listening to the description. And as you describes the smell of sea salt, you can almost smell it in the air as it kind of waves around, as her brain is trying to think, come up with the imagery and put it together. And when you describe this hero, you hear shouts on the wind of people cheering for this past hero. And you watch her eyes close as she doesn't there is an unconcern of you being this close with a weapon because she doesn't know what it means. But you watch the eyes close as she pictures some of these moments, and you watch using what powers of wind she has creates these little moments, shadows, echoes of these past things. And a little smile comes on her face. It's oh, I loved that area. I still visit it. But you, this is your fault.
My fault.
I remember that day. I was getting cornered by some other gods who thought they were big and mighty. They wanted to know what I could do, what worth I had, and I had to show them. And I told them the very next city of mine that chooses to ignore giving thanks before they head out. And you left. No token. No words. Off in a rush. Not a moment to send a prayer.
Off in a rush to save a life in your name.
So you saved one and lost all the others because you couldn't do what you were supposed to do.
You decide. You decided that one measly token was worthwhile to decimate a whole city of people who loved you. Because one person slipped up.
Do you know what they say about butterfly wings? They can cause a hurricane all around the world. All it takes is one mistake. And you got to be that mistake this time. You watch as people listening to this begin moving away from all y'all. They're not loving it. Even them who's like against a pillar of this circus tent is like, I don't know what I'm doing here. But like, it's still here, but it looks terrified as this conversation goes on. But you have the Tempest Dancer's attention. She and her Windy Glory just slowly reaches the ground, and you watch as little almost craters of impact from the air pushing aside rock as she starts stepping towards you begin to be created.
I think. So that's your answer. Destroy hundreds of lives. Hundreds of dutiful followers. Because one token was missed. Because one butterfly affected you so harshly that you felt the need to lash out. That you felt entitled to do away with the whole damn thing. No consideration for the history that had been forged. No consideration for generations of worship. You're not a god. You're pathetic.
The more you talk, the more powerful the gusts from underneath her get, just slowly pushing everything down and away from her. The hair that was down as she was quote-unquote relaxing has now risen back up and has almost like a wild banshee look as she slowly floats and walks towards you. Maybe you're right. I did make a mistake. I should have started with you.
I think we're starting to see the manifestation of Thorn's divinity sort of leeching from her. The closer that she gets, they're just... the smoldering forest fire within her just has ash raining out from her. And at first you think it's snow. But as you get closer, it starts to choke out the oxygen around her. In this exchange, is there anything that might hint at the Tempest Dancer's downfall? Maybe not her heart, but her downfall.
Yes. I'm trying to think of how best way for that to have been given to you. Okay. I have a... Yes. Okay. Sorry, taking a minute for me to
think on
be
it. Think on it.
100% sure.
You're so good.
As this keeps going, every once in a while, Nemu fires a shot anyways. Just to be like, fuck it.
God,
here.
Kid.
She ignores it because every shot that touches her body just goes through her. But as the steps get closer towards you, the audience at least watches him freak out for a moment, be like, and like sees that there is a tightrope above and then a net underneath that to catch them if they did fall, and just shrugs and like shoots at one part of the net, and you watch as the net hits her, and it does travel through her body, but not through the outfit, the rainbow outfit, and watch her for a brief moment. There's not a reaction of necessarily fear on her face, but there's an instinctual part of her body that has that menacing walk forward that just like shifts, twitches out of the way. Like you watch her immediately try to remove her entire body from being in the way of being wrapped up in this thing.
Now, is it safe to say that she has been slandering and or mocking my pain?
A wee bit.
I'm about to turn to fucking violence.
That's fair.
Against someone who mocks or slanders my pain.
Yeah, just a wee bit, I would say.
Yeah, okay, cool.
A scooch, a nudge.
So let me inflict violence first with the knowledge that the dress being more corporeal than her seems to have some be some sort of crack in her armor. We're gonna try to exploit her downfall.
So inflict violence.
Yeah, we're gonna inflict violence. It's personal.
They wish you harm right now.
They wish you harm.
So that's
I'm gonna say she's I'm gonna say she might be desperate.
Okay. That's fair.
Actually, I'm gonna say it's personal and they wish you harm. Okay. Desperate, maybe not quite yet.
I do like that this system makes you think, because if you go too high, bad things happen.
Yeah. I did get a 9. It's a 7 on the die plus 2.
That's great.
Because on the hit, this part of the fight ends on your terms.
So not necessarily the whole thing, but at the very least this little
round. This part of the fight.
Tete-a-tete. Yeah.
Yeah. As she lunges forward with the sword. And I know she summons, I think in order to get the full maximum like movement out of it, like as she swings her sword, she activates that one area on the pommel that she's supposed to touch, and the sword whip extends out and slices right across the dress, just leaving a very unpleasant gash in it.
Gotcha.
Tearing away at the fabric.
Perfect. Yeah, we can say you cut like where it like
kind of like diagonal. Probably if this lady's huge, all I want to do is turn into a giant woman.
Probably like 15 feet tall. Not as big as the other things, but pretty big.
I want to say hits probably like the midsection.
Okay. You give a quick slash in the midsection, and you watch her gasp in surprise, but not necessarily pain in that specific action. So it seemed to definitely surprise her and hit her in a way, but that specifically where you hit in the abdomen did not seem to harm her. But a glare appears in her eyes as she begins to back away, which is a little shocking for a lot of the people involved to watch as a god literally start backing away from a mortal in this moment. You watch her just like double step back, like almost like Link with his little bit like back jump thing where he just she makes a quick amount of space between you two.
Yeah. And I think Thorn is going to advance on her, and still sword in sword whip form is going to begin the dance, so to speak. She's literally like turning and twisting as she's slashing this around like a dancer's ribbon. Like just furiously slashing at the dress. I will activate my divinity shortly. However, my question was I wanted to ask about the details of the dress. I know that you said it was this like rainbow fabric. Was there any sort of like brooch or anything on it?
No.
Just very simple. Okay.
Yeah, what you notice is that the front portion of it, or at least the bodice part of it, is a very simplistic design. And that part seems to at least slightly move almost all the time. You're seeing like not like a shifting of colors, but almost like someone is just dragging the colors along, kind of like you're going on like a side-scrolling thing where everything just kind of moves in tandem. The cape, the back that connects with the cape, you see is probably the most solid portion, and the design on it does not really move. But it does have a very embroidered outline that has twisting knots that look like clouds.
Okay. I am going to awaken my divinity. Because she's being a bitch, and I just inflicted violence on her. That's how I'm gonna put it. That's that. And I think what's been happening is that as Thorn advances on the Tempest Dancer, the cloud of ash is just kind of expanding out and becoming denser and starting to encircle them. And all of a sudden it sort of snaps into existence into these tendrils, reminiscent of burnt logs of wood, and start as furiously as she is whipping at the dress with the sword whip. The tendrils are also it reminds me a little bit of Snow White when she's like running through the woods and like her dress is like snagging on the branches and stuff. Not the eyes, not the eyes and the screaming, but specifically the dress getting like torn up and caught on things.
Gotcha.
It's like that. They're almost, these tendrils are more branch like, and they are catching and snagging on the fabric of the dress and on the cape.
Gotcha. As that happens, you watch as this starts appearing, and there these blockades begin appearing, and immediately you see the closest thing to sweat that could form on her as she begins to try to dart somewhere, and then a tree appears. And while there is the fright on her, and you watch her as she's like grabbing parts that are falling off, there is also just a utter fear of her being surrounded and condensed and confined to a point where she can't move. So as more things begin to appear, you watch her like almost like the Flash, like super speed, try to like get out somewhere, and like another tree appears in the way there. And she just backs up a bit, and there is a gusto, there is a confidence that slowly starts to dwindle every time she reaches a spot, and it's just another area she can't escape from, and slowly starts feeling encircled, and eventually she looks up and just tries to jump straight up through all of the branches.
I would like to manifest a miracle. I want to burn my innovation power. Because I want the tendrils to form a very solid cage around her. I don't want her to leave. I don't want her to be able to avoid responsibility.
That is the perfect thing for her.
And so the tendrils were sort of, even though my divinity has been awakened and has been used once, I think the innovation is that it sort of solidifies what has been put into space and just like keeps it permanent. keeps it corporeal.
Yeah, as she tries to, like, literally the opposite of what you're saying. Well, you're trying to make it corporeal. She's trying to incorporealize herself and, like, bum rush through this thing. And immediately, I don't believe there's a roll for that, right? Or is there?
Not.
Nope, divinity. Yep, you use a divinity.
Oh, well, manifesting a miracle. When you want to manifest a miracle, sacrifice a power, describe how you channel that power into the world to its fullest potential, and then erase it from your sheet. I may never use it again.
All right, there goes innovation. But yeah, you watch as this we're innovating, industrializing, anyways. Yeah, as these little forms of cages of wires of bars begin blocking her way. She falls to the ground and actually hits and touches the ground for a moment, and you see her on all fours, almost like a rabid animal, begin looking around, and she starts trying to dive for like lower nooks in trees as they form up and branches begin blocking her way, and she starts getting more and more and more confined.
Yeah.
Let me out of here. This
not until you pay for what you've done.
Did you block yourself into?
Oh. I was going to say, I mean, if she's like 15 feet tall. You know what? Fuck it. She's got nothing left to lose.
Mm-hmm.
She's in there.
Okay. With you in there, she just turned towards you and looks behind you, hoping that you left an exit, and sees there's nothing there. And
nope.
Like, beyond fear,
there's just enough room for some arrows to get through.
There's just devastation. The one thing that you see being like, oh, I kind of get this, maybe. You see arrows that have ropes wrapped up behind them to just make space more uncomfortable. Begin popping through every once in a while. And don't know if this helps. But you watch her as like these arrows popping through, which are even more of a disturbance because it's not like she can see it. It's just appearing through. So everything's getting tighter, and you guys are just right in front of each other. And she says, we'll see who pays first. And she is going to attempt to just, you watch her hands become wind and start reaching up into your brain.
Into my what?
Into your brain.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Into my
I am going to have you mark one harm for now.
Oh, you mean one strain? Yeah,
Strain.
no, for sure.
Harm,
absolutely.
damage, me no likey, whatever you want to call it.
Okay. That's valid. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's so correct.
She does not have arms. Her outfit is almost stripped away. The cape is becoming shredded, but she is sacrificing what use of her arms she possibly could have to try to reach up into you and crush what she can.
I think... Shit. Let's see.
Aday, I appreciate your Spider-Man reference.
Thank you, Aday. Let's see. This might be a tempt fate.
What are you trying to do?
Well, The last thing to do is to... I believe I've discovered her downfall, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
Her downfall more so being contained, being trapped than anything. Need to figure out what her heart is. So I think in order to do that, I might have to tempt fate. And I feel like I'm kind of doing that already by putting myself in close quarters with her.
Yeah, you ain't not doing it.
I'm definitely not doing it. But yeah, I think the perilous feat that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to uncover her weaknesses, specifically unveil her heart. Would definitely say, well, would we call Damu skilled? Allegedly.
Skilled enough for this.
Skilled enough. I have no other options.
Yeah, you're pretty getting to the to the wire there.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see what happens. So +2. I didn't think about that for a second. That's a 9, which is nice. Could have almost been a 10. So you get through it mostly unscathed. The fates spare you for now. This is also the ordeal of literally getting brain blasted by just a gusset of wind.
I don't know how that feels, but your sinuses are probably real clear after this.
Would they be?
After.
Yeah, after. I'm not sure if this counts as a single brilliant feat because I've already unleashed my divinity. Maybe. So I'm getting through this like buffeting of wind, quote unquote, unscathed. I think flavor-wise that somewhat manifests as again sort of like this like sort of life siphoning like ash like floating around her, and it maybe it what's the word I'm looking for?
Chokes.
Yeah, it sort of chokes the wind. It doesn't kill it completely, but it sort of slows it down. It makes it bearable.
I think that's doable. And yeah, slowly just like losing speed almost as this as the air just like gets heavy and hard for even her to truly be in control of in this moment. It slows down to the point that depending on how you're trying to get her out of you, eventually the hands just remove and no hands left. Whatever she was using to do that, now just the ends are covered with ash and she can't grab or touch or reach for anything. And then eventually she just, with not really any options left, tries to just use her arms to just bang down on top of you.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll out of the way.
You move. She grunts in annoyance at someone being swifter than her in this kind of scenario. And immediately you watch her turn over and start holding on tightly to the cape at the center of her chest, like covering it from the ash and soot and everything, and just on the ground again, like probably like an armadillo or like a small like squirrel guarding a nut. Like it's just like very It's hard to believe 2 minutes ago this was a god speaking down onto people.
Mm-hmm. I think in this moment I want to wield a power.
Okay.
Because somebody's getting a little tired, a little sleepy maybe. So maybe I kind of leaning on the sort of illusory nature of dreams. I think what are those like before movies became a thing, truly, there were these boxes. I think it's called like a rotoscope or something like that.
Yep.
It's something spinning so rapidly that it looks like an animation.
Mm-hmm. I know what you're talking about.
I believe it's called a rotoscope. I might be wrong about that one. I think rotoscoping is actually an animation technique. Again, I could be very wrong.
Well, if it's an
I saw one at the
technique, it might be based off of
maybe. I saw one at the Ghibli Museum. It was actually really stunning. It made me cry. But I think we see these rapid frames going by in a circle around her. And if you saw them still, it's various scenes of the destruction of the city, but they all flow together in one fluid animation spinning around her. And although Thorn wasn't there to see the destruction of her home truly, she saw the storm pass by. She could have predicted it. She does blame herself somewhat for not being there to predict the storm. She could have warned people. She won't accept blame for missing one offering. It's just too petty. And she specifically shows her the scream of terror on people's faces as they try to flee, try to find safety in the storm, as buildings crumble to dust. As in small groups, people collapse in the streets and die. She wants to make her feel guilty, if it is at all possible to make a god feel guilty.
I mean, with the powers that be, there is chances of that.
Yeah.
You watch as this woman.
Oh, I have to roll first to see how it affects her. When you wield a power to do something only a god can, roll 2d6, add 1 for each true statement. I think she's... I mean, I don't think she's done this specific act before. She's done dream magic before, but she hasn't done this specific one.
Yeah.
I don't think she's feeling desperate. I think she's feeling pretty confident, actually, in this moment. I think desperation is kind of out the window for her.
Yep.
She accepts where this goes, wherever the chips may fall.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think she's close to a shrine or domain of the god that she took this power from.
Not really.
So we're just rolling straight. For the love of fucking God.
7 is the most common number you can roll on 2d6.
That's a 3.
That's lower than a 7.
On a 6 or less, your power sputters and your enemies seize on your weakness. Suffer 2 strain instead to achieve the full effect before they can react. And I'm totally suffering that 2 strain.
There we go.
I'm taking it. Taking it.
As you're having this effect spin around her, this rotoscope, these images play and dance into her mind. You watch this fairly full-bodied, full-cheeked, like if you would assumed rosy-colored cheek if it wasn't for the blue skin, woman begin as the ashes begin to mix into her air body. She begins to get a little gaunter, she deflates almost as a being from the powers of dreams and darkness that overtake her. Your memories of this, your own nightmares of this becoming a reality in her own brain, to a point that as gods probably aren't near or imagined to this precision, to this in the moment. And you watch as she begins wrinkling up. Her hands become claws instead of like the softer skin that it was supposed to be in the appearance. But there's a moment where she closes her eyes, knows where you are, and goes to dive at you anyways. And in that moment, you react. You take this damage, this pain from your power to react to her last attempt at trying to subdue you. What does that look like?
I think there are some areas in the cage where they are just big enough for me to squeeze under and dive under for cover. And I think it's just a very, like, you know, some of those horror movies where the tree roots have grown in a certain way that they almost make like a barrier themselves. I've seen them in like horror movies and fantasy movies, and somebody like dives into a burrow under a tree and the roots have become so intricate that it sort of protects them from danger. I think something similar happens with because the cage needs stability. And if it's branch-like, if it's tree-like, then I think it rooted itself into the ground so that it couldn't be knocked over.
Love that.
And developed some of those roots. I sort of dug up the ground a little bit as well. And like she still gets a good swipe in, but because I did Mark II strain. Fuck it. But yeah, I think that's how she shields herself for now. Would it be in this exchange of violence, or as her form is sort of drained of life, am I able to see her heart?
You can. As very little of her is left, the outfit is almost gone. The only thing that really remains is this cape. This cape itself. We can't assume that this world has like superheroes that, proudly square their shoulders and has this cape flowing in the background, but capes, like flags, like leaves in the wind, are a symbol of both wind and freedom in some forms. And that is as close as you can find the center of what she is.
I think I don't know if you want me to roll the move use of power again, but I think the dream shifts. So the animation turns from the suffering people to she now sees me everywhere, all around her. Almost like a hall of mirrors. Similarly, when there's just one too many of you. But it's still that same like spinning, rapid animation. And they're all doing the same motion. I'll give that. I find another way to crawl out from under the roots. And strike out with the sword. Or actually, I throw the sword and strike at the cape. I want to pin it to the ground, and if she tries to pull away, it will tear in half.
Excellent.
And she's trapped here, which I believe being trapped as her downfall is her weakness.
Yep.
And I would like to kill a god.
Hell yeah. Yeah, you don't have to wield your power again. But yeah, no, she is trapped. The cape is pinned. And as she does use what arms she has left and like her own mouth to try to grasp and pull it, she's trying to just get this thing free. And as she does, small rips start tearing it, like as you say, almost in half. She's like, no, not this. It's my oldest gift. It's my oldest gift. You're not taking this from me.
I'm going to take everything from you. Like you took everything from me. And I have to roll.
You do.
When you confront a god in their true form and exploit their downfall to kill them, describe how you slay them and roll 2d6. And I think because the sword is returning, she had hurled it to tear it, and now activates its whip form again. And in what I can only describe as Zorro fashion, is whipping the sword in various strokes to shred this thing to bits, to wear her away to wither in the breeze like her home did.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
Just gotta get above a 6.
that is a 6.
Cool.
So they bestow a curse on you with their dying breath. Regardless of your role, you seize a semblance of their power.
Hell yeah.
Being cursed by the god of freedom makes a fuck ton of sense, honestly.
You watch.
And curses are always phrases, thou shalt not, blah, blah, blah.
Yep. Thou shalt never, I think, is what it is. Or maybe it's not. Either
Shall
way.
not. Yeah.
Thou shalt not. Cool. Luckily, I already have one written up. So as you begin tearing her apart, you do watch as every stroke begins to tear apart her form, her physical form that you see, almost in the same direction as the cape itself. Her body gives out first before the cape is even fully sundered, and as she is down to half a body, one arm, and part of her face left, she looks up at you. I, Zephyra, the Tempest Dancer, curse you. Thou shalt not use air for anything beyond the bare minimum to exist.
You did that on purpose, you motherfucker.
I love the multiverse that is Zephyra at this point.
I hate you.
With this,
so thou shalt not use air beyond the bare minimum
to exist.
So literally, I can't do anything but breathe.
You cannot laugh. You cannot sing, chuckle. The sounds you make are monotone speaking and breathing to work, move, exist.
Petty ass bitch, you're just mad that you lost.
I would be too if I was a god.
That's so fair.
If I was a god of a whole force of nature and I somehow fucking lost to a person with a fancy sword, I would also feel kind of miserable. You do watch as she fully disapparates, completely leaving nothing behind beyond shreds of fabric that is the cape. And I don't know, do we want to say this cage is permanent, or do you have the control to drop it?
I think I have the control to drop it. I also want to add some flavor to this. I don't think she can speak above a whisper now.
I'm fine with that.
And as she dissipates, Thorn just says, "Fuck you and your air."
Love that.
Just puts her sword away.
Hell yeah. Everybody be petty.
Crumbles. The cage collapses around her, and in a puff of ash it's gone. just like it
Like a magic trick almost.
Yeah, it's one would think that it's like very bad and very sudden because it crumbles apart, and it's a massive structure to contain a 15-foot woman, right? And it just cracks and crumbles and breaks apart, and you think that like nobody survived this, and then you just see the rush of ash like phase out, and Thorn is standing there in the middle.
It takes you a moment to look around and realize that beyond some people that definitely just left and some people that were angry of the situation, some folks were sharing the plight of what they heard as you were talking. Because also understand, what happened to you was on the other side of the ridge. No one in here knows about this.
Nobody knew.
So you hear people talking.
Nobody knew except for the one group of worshippers that I tormented to get what's his faces.
Like you do.
Yeah, as one does. As one does. That's how I flirt.
You hear a few of the people. These are echoes in your mind of things that might have been said while the fight was going on, that when you rushed out of the cage and then rushed back in, you maybe heard these for a brief moment. You heard people renounce her. Not a lot, but in the moment you heard people who like hearing the stories and talking back and forth, and like Nemu, who like was firing in, was like, this isn't doing anything. Yeah, no, totally decimate her entire city. And people are like, that doesn't sound like a god I would worship. And you hear like, not a lot, but a few people be like, no, she was not for us. So when the cloud of dust settles, many people have left. Some people are like kneeling and praying, and like spluttering and coughing as all this ash envelops them. And other people just stand like tall and look amazed, but feel a little proud in the moment of being like, we made the right choice. We made the right call in this moment. As you appear, there's not a fanfare or a clap or anything. People are just in awe.
No, I don't think she expects one. I don't even think she acknowledges the crowd, right? They might be looking at her in awe, but she's not really looking at them. She's looking down at where the god once stood, where the Tempest Dancer disappeared, and has put her sword away. And I think she has like a wind-battered cloak that she's been wearing this whole time. I never really got into an intense description about her outfit, but in true anime character fashion, I think the sheath for the sword is on her back rather than at her side, at her hip. And she kind of readjusts the cloak over the sword, pulls her hood up, and turns, and she leaves the tent. Wordlessly.
Most people are not going to deal with you.
Oh, I know.
As you move on, there is almost no interruption. The only ones is going to be near the edge of town, where, huffing to catch up, Nemu eventually does follow not far behind and says, all right, well, that was a thing I've never seen before. That was amazing. Where are you going now?
Home.
Think you earned that? Do you want to ride? Gestures at the horse.
No.
Do you want this? And he holds up the remnants of the cape. Might make a good scarf or a baby blanket.
You motherfucker. You punk ass bitch.
I get this a lot.
She takes it. I think she just ties it around the hilt of her sword like a sash.
And walks off.
Yeah, walks off. She's not saying much. There's nothing left to say. You know?
Mm-hmm.
She just... She wants to go home and mourn.
And now she can.
Yeah.
All right.
For now.
As rumors start spreading of the Godkiller that no one knew about until 4 days ago when she entered this goddamn world. As people talk, as gods still fight in the distance, and how others see that maybe that this fight is a possibility, as Megafauna Forged are slowly created in the foundry, as some fun magical items just exist in random spots in the world, and that just makes me happy as a whole. Thorn makes her way back home. Do you have an ending you wish to describe for Thorn? Whether it's a week, a month, a year, her life?
I think we get... I think we get sort of like a hard cut to her back home, sitting along the cliffside. It's been an indeterminate amount of time. Probably no more than a couple of weeks. She's just sitting on a cliff face looking out at the ocean, feeling the breeze on her face. And then I think it shifts to she's up walking through town. It's evident that she has been clearing away some of the rubble. At least making way for the roads to be usable again. And I think perhaps we see her go back to her own home, her own house, where she has some guests. We won't name them, but they are battered and worn down. And I think, she has been giving them somewhere to recover. It's evident that they have been victims of the wrongdoings of a god. And the door closes on them as they all sort of like turn into the fire to share their story with her. And on another day, in another time of year, she'll go seek out vengeance for them. I think that's where it ends.
Perfect. As you heard here, guys, that is the ending of this chapter, this book, whatever we want to call this exact run. And that is a potentially played wrong, but hopefully done pretty decently.
We did our best.
Of Godkiller. We did our best, and that's all that matters.
Listen. I can't wait for the finished book to come out. I'm so
we need
excited.
More. What was the thing there was only 7 of that we wanted more of? Not challenges.
The covenants.
Covenants. We need more covenants. That was a fun ride, guys. Thank you for coming along on it with us. Super appreciate it. If you enjoyed any of that, drop us a like, drop us a follow. Please donate to the PCRF if you can. We are just trying to get to $500 for the funds of it, but also for the funds of it. And then also to hopefully run a one-shot, a nice all-day one-shot of everyone trying to kill Tiamat, which sounds super fun to me. One more time, you can find me here at Records and at Vander Vision. Mel, you can find on Meloettes, and I won't
Too many places.
I won't do the thing, but also
I'm here.
Storyteller Squad and doing a bunch of other things. We are actively living, thriving, striving, and crying in the TTRPG community.
I cry a lot.
Yeah, Mel does. I do sometimes too. I still, honestly, the bliss meeting up with Teo again, like, whew, got me good.
Dude, it's too late at night to bring that up.
It's never too late to bring up family reunions. Anyways,
we
are
join us Thursday for Glitter Hearts. Vinny's gonna run that one, and I'll rule
really
lawyer the fuck out of him because I'm usually the one running that.
Oh,
so.
that's fine. Rule lawyers the fuck out of me. I'm so excited to play this game, even if it's from a different angle. But yeah, we have Glitter Hearts this weekend, and then we're back to Dark Arc on Sunday, and then July comes and maybe we'll do other things, but right now the only thing I can promise is darkness.
It's almost July. God help me.
Sure is. Thank you guys for your support. Thank you for coming and watching. We super appreciate it. And come wander with us over on our Discord. My brain forgot the word for Discord for a second, but that's fine. Have a good night and thank you again.
Bye, y'all.